It's Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to get the latest real estate numbers with Register of Deeds Jack Mead. Then we'll chat with Cape Cod Regional Transit Administrator Tom Kerr about how they are reaching out to veterans this Memorial Day. And finally, we'll chat with Finance Director Mark Milne. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. The school committee will consider a new proposal to adjust school start times. Under the proposal, all elementary schools would maintain the current schedule with start times at 9 a.m. Barnstable High School classes would begin at 8:15 a.m. and two 4th through 7th grade buildings would begin at 7:20 a.m. Two community forums will be held this month to discuss that proposal. The first will be held May 10th and the second May 17th. Both of those meetings will be held at Barnstable High School at 6 in the junior-senior cafeteria. The Glenna Cole Fund for Hope donated 2 sunshades for Douse's Beach in Osterville and 1 for Craigville Beach in Centerville. The Glenna Cole Fund is to help find a cure and raise awareness of melanoma. The structures, as well as the coverings on the lifeguard towers and, of course, sunscreen provided to the public, were donated by the Glenna Cole Fund. You can lather up this summer with some sunscreen, chill in the shade, and enjoy. The sunshades are worth about $13,000. Well, you can get your beach parking permit at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Beach parking permits can be purchased from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 9 a.m. to noon on Sundays and holidays. Beach parking permits cost $40 for residents. Well, a road construction project began this week that you might want to keep in mind as you head about town. The Route 28 Airport Rotary in Hyannis will be milled and paved. Work will be done on the entire width of the pavement within the rotary. Crews will work on one lane at a time. Work will be done between 8 p.m. and 3 a.m. to minimize traffic impacts. Work is expected to be completed by Sunday, May 14th. Up next, we'll chat with Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. So, Jack, I want to talk a little bit about the latest real estate numbers in Barnstable County for the month of April. Those numbers were just released. We were having such a good streak this year as far as housing numbers go, or, housing goes. Tell me a little bit about this month and try and make me feel a little bit better about it, because we do see a little bit of a decrease here.
Well, we did have, you're correct, we did have a little decrease in April of 2017 as compared to April of 2016. We were down about 6.7% from a year ago in terms of the volume, overall volume of activity, and the value of sales was down as a result. But the the positive side, the median individual property sale value was up 4.2% from the previous year. And to make you feel better about things, we're still up for the year. We're, calendar year-wise, volume is up 3.5%, value is up 4.5%, individual sales value is up 7.6%. So we're in positive trend, and we've sort of had up down for the first 4 months of 2017, but the downs have been minor. The ups have been pretty good.
We like to hear that. We definitely
with the net being, with the net result being we're ahead of where we were a year ago. So that's, and you want to look at, I think, the year to date at numbers that are better, measure of what's going on. Yeah. April, we only had, we had 19 business days compared to 20 last year, and you'd be surprised, but one business day, can make a difference.
I believe it.
And we're going to have a lot of business days in May. So my expectation is we'll have, I think we have 23 business days in this May. So in May, that'll be the bellwether. If we have a strong May, that'll likely mean that our second quarter of the calendar year, the April, May, June quarter, needs to be a good one. Typically is a good one, and all indications are it'll be that way. So
we're finally getting the weather to work out in our favor. Hopefully that'll get some people out looking around for homes. Talk to me a little bit about the median individual property sale value, because that did go up a little bit. We're talking about a 4% increase. Where are we on the median individual property sale value?
Well, we're at $350,000 for median individual sales value, which is a strong number. I mean, historically, that's right up there We have seen a trend in the last year or so where that number has moved up. We started, I remember, beginning of 2016, we were busy, but the sales value number was actually, the median number was in the low threes, which just said that the lower end of the market, first-time home buyer, that kind of stuff, was quite active, and which is a great thing. But now we're starting to see that all the levels of the market being active, and in terms of pricing, and so we're seeing that median move steadily up, and so we're moving towards more consistently to be in the 350, 360 range, and I would expect that's probably where we're going to be, May and June. So
yeah, that's good
again,
news.
positives, and I know anecdotally, if a house comes on the market for in the 300 range, there's a lot of activity there, a lot of buyers.
Looking over the foreclosure numbers a little bit for the month of April, looks like actually pretty good. We have less foreclosures April of 2017 than we did in April of 2016.
Yes, we did. We had fewer, and anytime we're going in that direction, we're happy. We're still seeing a level of foreclosure that we don't like to see. We're in that 20 a month range, and that's still that's high. It's not as high as we've been, but that's still a factor that's out there, and we're on a pace effectively to do potentially 350 to 400 foreclosures if it keeps up, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's what we did last year, and so it doesn't seem like we still have that base level of foreclosure activity that has been pretty consistent the last couple of years in terms of that around the 20 a month range, plus or minus 15 to 20, and you hate to see it, but I think most of the cases, as we look back at them, who's getting foreclosed or what, there's still mortgages that were taken out at the peak back in the 07 and 06 and 07, and I think some of those properties are just they've been in the foreclosure process for a number of years, back, and so
yeah, it's interesting because
caught up.
When you look at numbers, you kind of have to take that into consideration because that is a very long process. So we could still be seeing some some foreclosure issues carry on, if you will. Hopefully, now that we're seeing that sale price, that median sale price raising to a better value, hopefully we'll see less homeowners underwater, if you will.
Right, and if obviously the better position would be, if you're having trouble affording the property at that, then at least you can get out with a sale that allows you to avoid a foreclosure, or as the values start to move in the right direction, and so. Hopefully that becomes a solution for more people who may, for whatever individual reasons, may be struggling, to get the mortgage paid. So, but again, as you pointed out, we're in a better month than last year, but it's still a troubling little piece of the market amidst all the sort of better news going,
Well,
otherwise.
thank you for joining us today and sort of making sense of all these statistics that we get every month. We really appreciate your commentary and look forward to chatting with you again in the near future.
I do too as well. Thank you, Sarah.
All right, thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. Up next, CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr will tell us about how his organization is reaching out to veterans this Memorial Day. So Tom, a big weekend coming up for the Cape Flyer and for the folks at the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority. The Cape Flyer opening for the season this Memorial Day weekend. And this weekend is going to be really special because you're actually doing something to give back for veterans on Memorial Day weekend. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, yes, we are, Sarah. This is actually the 5th year of the Cape Flyer. It's amazing. I remember sitting around the table, 5 years ago with my staff thinking about how we could propose this and how it would happen. And we were very confident at the time that we could help utilize an underutilized state asset, the line from Middleborough down to Hyannis. And we went to the state and we made the case, and they were a little bit reluctant. There hadn't been a train coming down here for many, many years, but we were very confident that we'd done our homework, and we knew that if we marketed it appropriately and worked on it the way we have, that it would be successful. So it's somewhat surprising and amazing to me now that this is our 5th year, and it has been an overwhelming success each and every year, where our operating costs, the revenues have exceeded our operating costs, and we've also learned something every year that I think has helped us be even better in the subsequent year. So this year, we're unveiling the 5th year on May 26th, which is Memorial Day weekend. And historically, the month of May and June have been challenging for us because, many of the kids are still in school, and, parents are working and schools are on and everything else. So we always have to try to come up with ideas to encourage people onto the train in June. And then once the 4th of July comes, it's 1,000-person weekends all the way to Labor Day. So the Cape Flyer this year said that we wanted to work closely with, the veterans organizations in the metropolitan Boston areas to get people down here to take part in the 13th annual Troops in the Spotlight event that's held over at the Cape Cod Mall. It's led by Cape Cod Cares for the Troops. So we've actually been communicating with them since last year, and we've reached out to all the veterans organizations and encouraged not just active duty service folks, but the veterans to come down on that weekend, on that Sunday train, free of charge, if they're a veteran or in active duty. And they will come down here to the Hyannis Transportation Center on the Sunday train, and we'll transport them via bus over to the mall. And I don't know if you've been there, Sarah, but it's an exciting, wonderful event. It's 24 hours. It begins on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. and concludes on Monday at 11:30 a.m. So it's actually 24 hours of various activities and opportunities to support our troops. So we were very honored and privileged to participate, and we're expecting hundreds of folks to come down on that train. So that will be the inaugural run weekend this year, and then the rest of the month of June, we have worked with other organizations around the Cape and Islands to get the word out via social media primarily, to get people down here on Cape Flyer. And then, after the 4th of July, as I said earlier, more and more people take it anyway. So we're pretty excited, and as we've learned in years past, once you get here, all the years that I served in the legislature and served in other transportation capacities, I used to talk to folks all the time, and they would say, boy, I would love to have trains down here, but what do I do when I get there? How do I get to where I need to go? So what we've tried to do before we even unveiled the idea of the Cape Flyer was to create a very efficient and robust public transportation system on Cape, and we have fixed route bus services now in all 15 Cape towns, and we have DART service, and we have trolley service, and we have a pretty efficient service here in all of the towns on the Cape. So when you get to Buzzards Bay and or Hyannis, you have a seamless transfer right onto one of our buses and get to where you need to your final destination in a timely fashion. And we work also with our intercity coaches, P&B and Peter Pan, and you can seamlessly transfer onto their buses. And we're also talking to the airport about getting service over there. So we're really thinking in a holistic transportation mode and trying to get all these folks down here in a very, as I said, efficient manner.
Yeah, and what I think is so interesting about the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority is that you guys really take into consideration a lot of the summer population that's coming here, whether they're individuals who are getting to and from work, who may be working over the summer, or individuals who are coming just to maybe check out the Cape, enjoy vacation, and you have some really great routes And it's very easy to use. I don't think people understand how easy it is to use. You can hop on the bus and get your ticket right there while getting on the bus. So all you need is the correct change. I had never known that before. So I think it's a little easier to use the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority than many people even realize.
Well, thank you, Sarah. That's true. We have made it as easy as you could imagine, and we have extensive training for all of our drivers so that they're very courteous and professional and helpful to all the customers that ride our buses. We had 1.4 million trips last year in the calendar year on our services around the Cape. We have a Boston Hospital bus. We have many, many different services, and we have Charlie cards where you can get passes that would allow a reduction in fares, and you can get them easily online or in here at the office. So we have made a concerted effort, as you said, and thank you for to make it a pleasant ride. And you know, the roads on Cape Cod were never built to accommodate the volumes of traffic that they're dealing with now, not only in the summer months but all throughout the year. So, you know, with 220,000 year-round people living here, and as many as 700,000 in the summer, public transportation is a pretty good option to have.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us today and talking about the Cape Flyer and its inaugural launch this month. We really appreciate it. And of course, look forward to chatting with you again in the near future. I know you guys are working on a lot of things, so can't wait to catch up and talk more about some senior initiatives you're working on.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thanks for your support.
All right, chat soon.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr. Well, it's budget season, and that is keeping the Finance Division pretty busy. We're going to get an update from Finance Director Mark Milne. So, Mark, budget season is a very busy time for you guys in the Finance Division. Are you staying sane so far?
Yeah, we're keeping our head above the water so far.
It's important. It's important.
Yep.
So where are we in the process right now as far as the budget is concerned?
Okay, so we've conducted the first reading of all the budget appropriation orders for the operating budget, and next Thursday night on May 18th, the public hearings will begin on the operating budget orders, and first up will be the Airport Enterprise Fund, followed by a couple of the largest departments, the Barnstable Public Schools and the Barnstable Police Department. And so we have a total of about a little more than 20 budget items that will be going before the Town Council. So it's going to be a long night on the 18th. Whether or not we get them all passed in one evening remains to be seen. We did get about 30 orders for the capital programs passed in one night, so perhaps we might be able to get through the operating budget, but if not, we'll continue the public hearings on June 1st.
Wonderful. You know, the public hearings, when we talk about public hearings as far as the budget goes, it is a long night. So do you see oftentimes residents sticking around for the whole meeting to weigh in, or do a lot of people just come and use the beginning portion of the meeting to share their thoughts?
There have been some people who have stayed the whole evening if it's gone that far, or they may just come to speak on one specific department's budget. And then, you know, after that, they'll tend to leave. But there have been a few people that would stay through the whole evening. And we will be providing a summary budget document for the public at this meeting, so, you know, they don't have to wade through a 500-page document. We also provided that on our web page as well, so it gives the public a snapshot of what's included in the budget.
Yeah, so important, I think, for residents to be aware of what's happening, what's being proposed, how their tax dollars are being spent. So that's been a very important mission with your department as well, making sure that everyone is informed on the same page. Glad to hear you'll be handing out some information for attendees to that meeting. Anything really big in the budget that you think residents should be aware of?
Well, the big initiative we have going forward here is in the public safety area. We are two key components here to enhance our public safety are to extend the community service officer program, the successful program we had last year downtown Hyannis here, into the shoulder seasons. So we're providing the police department additional funding for that program. We're also providing them additional funding to bring on some civilian dispatchers. So we're targeting halfway through the year, by January 1, We plan to have the civilian dispatchers hired and implemented. So we're providing some funding to get that program going so we can put more police officers out on the streets and fully staff the special teams that the police department has. So those are two big initiatives included in this budget this year.
Wonderful. Something definitely to keep an eye on as we go through budget hearings on the 18th. As far as the process goes, would you say, it seems to be on schedule. How has this budget process been for you guys?
Yeah, we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule here. We did not anticipate conducting the first public hearings until June, the first meeting in June. However, we were able to get the budget completed a little ahead of time. And to the council a little ahead of schedule, so we're basically, a couple of weeks ahead of time than where we anticipated to be. So, and everything is going smoothly.
That doesn't happen very often in life, does it? How often are we early? Has that happened in years past?
No, this is not really. No, this is probably the first year we've actually got it done a couple of weeks ahead of time. And as you know, the decisions were made, and we decided that, well, let's try to get this budget to the printer and back and get it out to the council as early as possible so we can start acting on this, because they have a big agenda. There's a lot of things coming forward, and we want to get the budget passed behind us till we move on to all the other important issues that they're dealing with.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us today, giving us an update on the budget process. We really appreciate it.
Okay, Sarah.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. My guest today, Finance Director Mark Milne. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Mother's Day is fast approaching. The Hyannis Public Library will honor mothers next week by allowing them to share their stories. The Hyannis Library will host the program Wednesday, May 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. All are welcome to share how they became the woman they are today. The event is free to attend. Well, are you looking for a way to get out and get some exercise? Capabilities is hosting its annual Harbor Walk and Fun Run this Saturday. This is the 15th year for the event. You can enjoy a 2.2-mile walk along Hyannis Harbor, as well as some live entertainment, games, food, and of course, the opportunity to raise money for a great local organization. You can visit capabilities.org to sign up. Now here's a look at this week's board, committee, and commission meeting schedule. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. Tomorrow, we will hear from Town Manager Mark Ells. We'll chat with Town Council Vice President Jim Crocker, and we'll chat with State Representative Randy Hunt. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.